Next, we'll go through the parameters, presets, and thresholds in detail to understand what they do and how they can affect flows. The top section contains the TCP security options. By default, the top 4 options are selected, and this is typical of how most stateful firewalls operate. Enforce strict three-way TCP means that data packets are only forwarded once the TCP handshake has successfully completed. This ensures that only legitimate, properly sequenced connections can transmit data, providing an added layer of security. Discard non-SYN TCP feature is a lighter version of strict three-way. EdgeConnect will drop packets for a TCP flow that did not start with a SYN packet. Since this feature doesn't enforce the full three-way TCP handshake, it potentially makes it more flexible, as it does not block connection methods like split handshake, 5-step split handshake, or simultaneous open TCP connections. When enforced DPI validation is ticked, the Deep Packet Inspection Engine actively monitors and inspects flows. It checks the payloads with known application signatures to verify that the traffic matches the expected behavior for that specific application. This ensures that only legitimate application traffic is allowed, and any traffic that deviates from the expected signature is dropped. These applications are currently supported for DPI validation. Enforce IP Spoof Check helps protect the network from DDoS attacks by detecting and blocking spoofed traffic. IP spoofing occurs when an attacker sends packets with a fake source IP address, making it appear as if they come from a trusted source. To prevent this, unicast reverse path forwarding is used to validate the source IP of incoming packets. URPF works by ensuring that a packet's source IP address can be routed back to the same interface from which it was received. There are 2 methods of URPF applied, depending on the network interface. Strict RPF on LAN interfaces requires that the route lookup for the source IP address points to an interface exactly matching the interface where the packet arrived. The route must be a specific host or network route. Loose RPF for WAN interfaces does not require that the associated interface matches the one where the packet arrived. Essentially, it checks if the route exists, but does not enforce the reverse path from the same interface. The last tick box in this top section is Allow Asymmetric Routing. You'll notice that by default it is unticked and grayed out. It can only be selected if Enforce Strict Three-Way TCP and Enforce DPI Validation are both unticked. If you know you have asymmetric routing on your LAN by design, perhaps you have ECMP in your deployment, you will need to enable Allow Asymmetric Routing and disable the 2 other options above it. For most deployment, leaving the default 4 options ticked for all profiles offers the most security. The only exception to this is for the management profile, for our loopback interfaces, where we'll untick them all. The next section is DOS Thresholds, which provides protection against flooding attacks by applying proactive rate-limiting measures based on threshold values which you set. Click on Select Preset Thresholds, and you can choose one of the threshold modes such as lenient, moderate, or strict. If you have the AS or DTD license and have enabled baseline learning, you'll also have 2 additional presets available: Auto Rate Limit and Smart Burst. You can find out more information about adaptive DDoS protection in our security guide. Search EdgeConnect Security Guide and look from page 72. As you click through each one, you can see the min value, min action, max value, and max action values change. Let's cover the columns from left to right. Classification sets threshold rules at either the source level or the zone level. The former is all flows originating from a single endpoint or source device. The latter is all flows originating from multiple endpoints that are part of a single firewall zone. Metric defines what the threshold relates to. Your choices are flows per second per individual source IP at source level, or the entire zone at zone level. Monitoring FPS is critical because a sudden spike can indicate a denial of service attack attempting to overwhelm the system. Concurrent flows is the number of flows that are active at any given point in time, again based on the source or zone classification. Embryonic flows are any half-open connections, TCP connections where only the SYN packet has been observed. The three-way handshake has not completed. From ECOS 9.6 onwards, and if you have the additional AS or DTD license, you also have an additional option, embryonic two-way flows, a part of the SYN cookie and smart SYN cookie features. These are defined as TCP connections where both SYN and SYNAC packets have been seen, but no retransmission of the original SYN or a reset packet from the same source is observed within 2 seconds of the SYNAC. This metric helps distinguish between potentially legitimate connections and attack traffic. The next column is IP protocol, which shows one of TCP, UDP, ICMP, others, or all. Others means anything that isn't TCP, UDP, or ICMP. The remaining min-max columns show you the type of threshold, the value, and what the action will be. Moving down, there are advanced settings, which typically do not need to be adjusted. More details about these settings can be found on page 81 of our Security Features Guide. Last on this screen are the Allow List and Block List fields. Allow List permits specific IP addresses, subnets, or address ranges to bypass the firewall protection engine and its policies. This option is particularly useful for trusted hosts in the network that may trigger false positives, such as an application that scans the network. Block List allows you to block traffic permanently using an address group. You can define this on your orchestrator by clicking Configuration Address Groups in the Templates and Policies column. Once created, it's available to select in your FPP template. The block list is separate from any other firewall rules you may have configured, and will always deny anything in it. When a flow with a source IP address matches the block list, all traffic from that source will be immediately dropped and always blocked, as long as the protection profile remains applied to the zone. This might be useful to permanently block a compromised host or subnet originating DDoS attacks. The advantage here is the flow never reaches the policy processing engines, relieving them and the CPUs of that load. This improves appliance resilience during a flood or DOS attack event. The downside is any flow blocked using this list will never appear in monitoring flows, which may potentially impede troubleshooting. The block list is not dynamically maintained and could be forgotten about. For those reasons, it may be wise to implement WAN-side blocks of untrusted threats in the block list and LAN-side blocks in the zone-based firewall security policies. In the next video, we'll look at setting up custom thresholds and what the actions do.